Hey guys, and welcome to a casted game. We're going to be watching gaming legion TheViper, who just won a big Age of Empires 2 tournament. And we're going to be watching him against Leenock, one of the greatest StarCraft 2, well, maybe not the absolute greatest, but an extremely good StarCraft 2 ex-pro who is now fully jumped onto Age of Empires. This is a best of 3 for the Winter Series. The factions they're playing is Viper playing as Rus, and Leenock is playing as French. We're going to be watching this from the perspective of the Viper and see how he gets on in this game against Leenock. We'll only be watching from this perspective in order to get a good sense of what he sees, when he sees it, and how he responds. Leenock is primarily a Chinese player. In this best of 3, Leenock just managed to stand triumphant against the Viper, which is just awesome. It's a clashing of StarCraft 2 and Age of Empires 2 pros. And Leenock actually managed to come out ahead in a 58-minute game. Maybe I'll watch that later if I've got time for it. But we're jumping into this game. We are virtually live. It's being played right now. I see the game isn't over yet. And we're going to start to jump in here and see what's going on. So, we can see that Viper has opened up with a double scout opener to get a lot of sheep around the map. As a Rus player, he's looking to boost his economic bonus system. Sheep give 5, deer 10, wolves 25, and boar give 75 points of bounty. At 100, 250, and 500, you reach 3 tiers of bonus economy generation. Hunting cabins, this little fancy building here, generate gold per minute, and that goes up when your gathering rate and your bounty goes up as well. 2 scouts from the town center have started quickly collecting sheep, even as the 3rd scout was produced from the hunting cabin itself, for a total of 3 scouts right now. Double scouts can one-shot deer, and it looks like Leenock is actually getting the best of Viper by stealing 3 of the deer right from under his nose with his own double scout. The 3rd scout is busy fighting wolves, each of them generating gold and adding to the bounty as well. It's an arms race for killing as many deer, sheep and wolves as possible. Meanwhile, the economy that Viper has gone for has been leaning heavily into food, but not as heavily as some players may do. We saw that he had a 9-6 split for his 15 villagers, rather than a 12-1 split, which is what I usually go for. This has also helped him not to run out of food too quickly, even though it did delay his feudal age landmark. Feudal age landmark for Rus can start before the 3-minute mark, but we saw Viper started it significantly afterwards. He has sacrificed healthy early game speed of the feudal Golden Gate. He has sacrificed the speed of the Golden Gate for a more balanced economy that didn't hinge as heavily into sheep as when you fully gather into food sheep. And like I said, this has allowed him to send back his scouts later, giving him more presence on the map, being able to contest wolves, deer and sheep more and more quickly. After all, if the 3 sheep ran out, the villagers would stand idle and would be forced to go long distance gathering on the berries. Or he would have to send a scout back to bring back sheep. And that's an action he didn't want to undertake. 14-4 split right now for food and wood. We have reached a 250 tier bounty for bonus villager food harvest rate and hunting cabins generating extra gold. More frequent, every 24 seconds. The Golden Gate has been used and he immediately used... No, he still has the ticket. Golden Gate has not yet been used. We are immediately getting the professional scouts upgrade as Viper gets information of Leenock's base and he sees the School of Cavalry. 450 on the feudal age landmark. Keep in mind that this landmark can be finished earlier than 450. This means that Leenock is leaning defensively, not aggressively. Going for a quick gathering on the stone, 26 stone right now, into a mining camp, proved that he's getting stone so fast while still gathering the lumber. I could be wrong in this assertion, but most likely it means he doesn't have 300 lumber yet. He had 40 lumber, was waiting for lumber, now made the camp. Now, Viper can make a very accurate projection about what's going to happen in this game. The gathering of stone, the amount of scouts that he sees, indicates towards two very clear facts. The School of Cavalry will be used for scout production, the mill will be used for professional scouts research, and it means that Leenock will be competing to retrieve the deer from across the map and bring them back to his base. The very same thing that Viper is doing. The stone and the delayed mining camp show Viper that Leenock is getting ready to make a second town center, which requires 400 wood and 300 stone. All of this means that Viper can play to heart's content, with no pressure, able to exchange all of the wood and food that he has excess surplus of and sell it for 150 gold each. This will give him a fast castle timing, and in fact, some of the fastest I've seen. At just 640, he should have accumulated the necessary resources to tech up to a castle age. After that, there are three options for him to go for. The traditional, predictable, and effective, almost overpowered, mass horse archers from 4 archery ranges and a blacksmith. Or Viper could choose to go for 3 to 4 barracks and make men-at-arms, maybe backed up by some siege weaponry. Can really catch someone off guard as well. And finally, he could go for stables and lancers. This would require him to start getting a mining camp, something Roost players often can do without. The final gold generation came slow, and this means that Viper was not able to tech up just yet to castle age. He's heavy on the food, low on the gold, and the ticket of the Golden Gate was eluding him. This is part of the reason a fast feudal is preferred over the 6 villager allocation on wood that Viper did in the early game. The 6 villager allocation here delayed his Golden Gate by 30 seconds, delayed his final ticket by 30 seconds, delayed him being able to sell the final gold for 30 seconds, and that delayed his castle age. It proves that Viper plays a lot on feeling, general amazing Age of Empires game understanding, but that his build isn't as refined as the build order junkies, as it were. Where he has gotten, winning the first big tournament in Age of Empires 4, even as he went back to win the big last tournament in Age of Empires 2, he's gotten there by just sheer gaming talent and Age of Empires understanding, not the cleanliness of his build orders, which is interesting. We can now see that he has gone for archery ranges, going into the horse archers. 2 ranges so far, not enough wood for more yet. His wooden fortress was a little late, which meant that he didn't bolster his initial wood income yet. So he's only had enough wood for 2 ranges. Some players are able to get out 3 ranges this early. It might also be a intentional difference. It might be an intentional difference where he's not actually looking to lean 4 ranges into horse archers. Keep in mind that we are fully expecting that Leenock right now, still being in feudal and with all the information that we had, went for an expansion. We also see a range, which shows that Leenock is going to expect horse archers, and he's going to try to defend horse archer pressure with his own archers. Probably not just from 1 range, probably 3 ranges, I would imagine. But we are going to resist the temptation to check it out, so that we can see the game fully from 1 perspective. On 2 town centers, Leenock will be producing villagers much faster than Viper, so eventually his economy will blossom. Not only that, but French have an extra bonus as Royal Cavalry come in and start maybe getting a big charge hit on the horse archers. We now see the second range, so it confirms our suspicions of multiple archery ranges. The French also produce villagers faster than other civs, 18 seconds instead of 20 seconds per villager. So he's getting ahead very progressively in terms of econ. His army complexity isn't as good as what Viper can bring about yet. So keep in mind that this is match point for the Viper. He will lose this tournament with a maximum prize of $700 first place if he loses this game to Leenock. 3 ranges. The first warrior monk has picked up a relic, and instead of bringing it back, he is elected to first occupy a sacred site, to bring back the relic later. The second monk has also come out and started capturing this sacred site, again prioritizing the site over bringing back and coveting all the relics. An interesting decision. I usually bring back 5 relics because they are never going to be able to be taken again. But he feels confident enough that the relics will not be contested at all by Leenock. After all, Leenock went for a second town center, and therefore he's going to lean heavily into feudal units, namely early royal knights as well as archers. He's going to be quite far away from castle. I would predict that the earliest castle... Yeah, see, now he loses the site and he loses the relic. Nice job by Leenock. I would predict the earliest possible castle age for Leenock to come out at 12 minutes 30. I hope I'm not being too pessimistic on that and that he reaches it in 30 seconds. I would be very impressed. But I would imagine 12:30 the earliest. Okay, how many ranges have we got? 3 ranges. We've got blacksmith, 1 attack upgrade finished. Gathering a lot of wood. This will be used for tickets. Right now there are 3 tickets, which actually means right now Viper could buy 300 stone for 200 gold and then do his own expansion, trying to catch up in villager count. I'm telling you this so that you know that it is a valid option for Viper to belatedly catch up in villager count. And that you also understand the alternative, when and why he doesn't do it. He's not doing that, what I just described. That means that he feels, there's that second town center, that means that he feels he can shave off enough villagers on the exposed flanks of resource gathering to make it worth his while to not catch up in villager production. Let's do a relic check. Monk AFK. Castle age by Leenock at 12:15. I was 15 seconds off. That's impressive though. But we did see Leenock's army. 3 to 4 cavalry, 5 scouts and a bunch of archers. He heavily refrained from producing army in order to reach castle quicker. This was a big risk by Leenock, but it was a well-measured risk. After all, horse archers are great at picking off stragglers on the perimeters, but they're not good at charging headlong into a base protected by up to 20 villagers in the first town center and 10 in the second. Especially a player that is going to have half the villagers of his opponent. They cannot afford to throw away units for just a few villager kills. The French would reproduce the villagers and the horse archers would be more expensive. Having said that, Viper is, as Roos can do, taking control of a number of the relics. We currently have 3 warrior monks, 2 relics are being brought back, 2 are already in the bank. A monastery is required to house the final relic, as the abbey only fits 3. Currently, no monastery is here, nor is there wood in order to sponsor it. Horse archers are starting to get a lot of villager kills. He's picked off 1, I count 1, 2, 3, 2 maybe. Maybe only 2 villagers have been picked off. 1 cavalry has been picked off, and 3 horse archers or 2 horse archers. A decent trade. This is a good trade for Viper as well. These units are not being controlled by Leenock right now. 2 cavalry go down, 2 cavalry run away, as well as 3 scouts. All of these scouts are very important as they offer the most vision in these stealth forests among all other units. The archers are not upgraded yet for Leenock. He has 0 attack upgrades. He does have 1 ranged armor upgrade. At this point we have 29 horse archers. 1 sacred site control taken back by Leenock. Fantastic job by him. Monk AFK. We have 3 warrior monks, 1 of them is AFK, 2 are going places, and the first mangonel is on the field. Mangonels do splash damage. They are devastating to enemy archers and villagers, but they're not bad into buildings, surprisingly. Mangonels, in fact, have bonus damage into buildings. You wouldn't expect it, but you read the tooltip and it doesn't lie. 12 mangonel siege damage, plus 24 against building, and it does 3 burst attacks. So that's a total of 100 damage pretty much against buildings. So it's gonna make short work of outposts. The 5th relic has been picked up. Sacred sites not being taken yet. He sends back his monk and starts that again. All gold that was generated this game is via the 10 hunting cabins. Hunting cabins that are built next to trees will generate gold. Where are they? He's built them all over. You see the circle covering them. This is generating gold for him. Hunting cabins everywhere for scouting, and he keeps building them one by one. A network of information All of the hunting cabins, in fact, offer really good vision, which is a point that you may not think about. It's no outpost, but look at all the vision in the stealth forest. It's incredible. So it's much harder to flank Viper, and rather than just building static walls, these hunting cabins generate gold. 26 per minute, 27 per minute, 28, 30 per minute. This one's 38 per minute. We have an income of 700 gold per minute by the force. Wait, he's managed to put a 4th relic into the Abbey of Trinity. Okay, that's actually an exploit. If you put 2 relics in at the same time with 2 different monks, you can fit more inside. That is an exploit. It was mentioned during the beta to relic, and therefore some players feel like it is ignored and therefore has become part of the game. And to be honest, if this was still in the game 10 years from now, and the game didn't have esports at first and then slowly grew, 100% this would be part of the game right now, and would be like, every pro player would be like, well, you know, that's just part of the game. Like, it's a bug, yes, but it's a feature now. Because the game is young, you might say, we're not sure it's allowed yet, but at the end of the day, you don't need tournament license to run a tournament. And Relic hasn't spoken out on it, whether you are allowed to do it in a tournament. So it's really up to the tournament. If you're going to hold a tournament in this game, you need to write down what's allowed and what's not. And if it's not written that it's not allowed, then it is allowed. And that's the nature of these things. Otherwise, how are you going to limit yourself? Anyway, mangonels are destroying archers. It's also possible that it happened by accident because he clicked 2 relics at the same time. I don't know. I have seen who did it recently in a friendly match. But yeah, I don't think it really matters because he has the monastery anyway and he's put his relic inside. This is game. Horse archers mangonel easily trash the archers, and it actually puts a big dampener on the style of second town center. Second town center, I try to do it as well against Roos. You think that with your villager count, you're going to be able to draw ahead, and you can see that the villager count is 30 to 40% higher for Leenock, and you hope that that actually generates enough of a threat for you to be able to make enough raw manpower. This is where Age of Empires 4 can be pretty deceptive. Pretty deceptive indeed. Give a StarCraft 2 player a 40% bonus income over, I don't know, a 5-minute period, and that's probably gonna win them the game. But in Age, because of the quality of Castle Age units against feudal units, and because of the food required to make those villagers, the window of time that it takes for a second town center to pay off ends up being rather large, especially when you lose a few villagers now and then. Overall, a relatively easy game for the Viper. He got all the space he wanted to in the world. He managed to bring back enough deer carcasses, even though Leenock kind of competed with them. Leenock made a second TC, made a bunch of archers, stood still, got all the relics taken, got all the sites taken, and then 3 mangonels showed up and won the game. He didn't even need to charge into the base. Leenock knew he didn't have the resources to make spring ults and start countering that. And after all, there's almost nothing that really counters horse archers that early for French. The best way that you could counter horse archers as French is having an equal investment army of knights, mangonels, and archers. Knights are your meat shield, preventing them from running into you. Mangonels are your ranged shooters, allowing you to kill them from afar. And archers offer a 3rd dimension of attack that allows you to do more damage into the horse archers when they fly around on the perimeter. They are the filler between mangonels and knights. This would be the best way that French can play into horse archers, but they need an equal army size, and that is the real challenge. Viper not only had higher quality units, but he also had more army at all times. Despite the villager count, it was not able to pay off and make enough units. And when mangonels came, the drop-off was stark and desolate. GG, 1-1. Total resource gathering rate, 9k, 9k, 6k, 9k, 11k, 0. So he was actually getting ready for a keep, 4k, 5k. Great analysis as always. Yo, thanks very much, mate. Appreciate the sub.